What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and today I've got a really exciting tutorial, so I'm going to keep this introduction short. So I haven't done in a while one of those tutorials where I cannot just model a topic. So in this case I decided to create a beginner tutorial on how to make kitchens in Revit, and not only that, but it's going to be using only the geometry and the families that come in Revit just out of the box. So only the stuff that's in your material library is going to be used for this project, so you can get started right away. Okay, so before we get into that tutorial, just one quick thing. I would just like to ask you to like this tutorial. It helps me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm, and also make sure to subscribe because I make useful tutorials each week. Also, I make some advanced courses. Now, if you're interested in checking those out, follow the first link in the description. I've got like a 1-hour tutorial just on kitchens, or a 1-hour course on kitchens, and also I cover numerous really important advanced topics in Revit, and I explore all of the important tips, tricks, tools, and features about all of those topics. And also there you can find all of my project files, like this kitchen we're about to model. Okay, with that out of the way, without any further ado, let's get into the tutorial.
Okay, so here we are in Revit, and let us get started by going here to models and then starting off a new project. Now for the template, I'm going to choose the architectural template and then click OK. And before we do anything, I prefer working in centimeters, so let me set up the units then. I'm going to go here to the Manage tab, and then here I'm going to go to Project Units and just change the length from millimeters into centimeters. Now feel free to choose the units that you prefer to work with. Then I'm going to click OK out of that menu, and let's go back here to the Architectural tab. Now the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to the Architecture tab, go to the Wall command, and let's select the Wall command, and then here in Properties I'm going to choose the add the wall that I'm going to be using. Now for simplicity reasons, I'm going to choose the generic 300 millimeter wall, and then here let's just create an L shaped wall. Now here you may notice that the thin lines option is turned on, so that's this option over here. The L is the shortcut. You can turn it on and off to kind of change the thickness of the lines. Now for most of this tutorial I'm going to turn this on just because it makes it a bit easier to fine-tune all of the settings. Okay, now it's time to start creating our kitchen, and for that we need to load in some families. Now for loading in families, you can either go here to the Insert tab and then go to the Load Family option, or my preferred method of choice would be to go to the Architecture tab, go to Component, because most of the families that we're going to be loading in are components, or actually all of them. Now here in the Component tool, you have the, on the Modify tab, you have the Mode, and here we have the Load Family option. Now here I'm going to go to the Casework folder, and then in the Casework folder I'm going to choose the countertops. Now this whole family library should be included in your version of Revit, so if it's not, make sure to download it properly. Okay, so here for our countertop, you can select the first one, and then here in the preview window it will appear, and then you can just use the arrow keys to toggle down. Now for this particular tutorial, I'm going to be using the countertop L-shaped with sinkhole number 2. Now I prefer this one because it has this kind of angle or fillet over here, which is going to come in useful later on. So I'm just going to open that up, and as you can see, it loads immediately in, and then you can just kind of snap it here. So as you can see, when you come close to the wall, you get this little blue line, so it highlights, and when it highlights on both ends, it means it's snapped into position and it's perfectly aligned with the walls. Now just hit the escape key a couple of times to exit out of the command. Also here you can see the sinkhole opening. Okay, once we have this in place, the next step would be to enter some, just to enter a bit more casework and maybe some base cabinets. So for that, I'm going to go here to Component, and let's go to Load Family. Now I'm going to use this button to go back one folder, and then let's go to the Base Cabinets folder. Now here we have many options, but what I'm looking for just to begin is the corner unit angled. Now I really like this option because it allows you to use the corner, and when I hit open, it's going to load in. Now to flip it around, as you can see, it's currently not in the correct position. You just hit the space key once and then it flips around. Now when I zoom in over here, as you can see, it still has that option to snap it in place, and you just want to snap it to the wall. So the wall is the inner line here. So I'm just going to come in like this, snap it in position, and then hit the escape key a couple of times. Okay, once this is done, we have the base cabinet. Now, at this point, I would like to double check everything in the 3D view. So I'm going to go here to the quick access toolbar and then hit the 3D view. Now, as you can notice, the countertop has been positioned accordingly in space, or it has the offset from the ground. So just by default, when loading it in, it's going to have that correct offset, so that's not something you have to worry about. And the corner cabinet looks good as well. Moving on, let's go back into our level 1, either by clicking here or here in the project browser. Now let's go to component and let's go to load family. Here in the load family, the next thing that I want to load in is the sink unit. So let's see, do we have anything else? Okay, so we have this double sink unit. Sink unit means that it has enough space for the piping. So I'm just going to hit open, and here it is. Now make sure that the side on which your cursor is located, so here that's the top of this rectangle, is up against the wall. So I want to place it here up against the wall and here up against the cabinet. Now maybe in some cases you're going to accidentally place it like this in the space, and don't worry, just hit the escape key a couple of times to exit out of the command. Go to the Modify tab, and then here you have the Align tool on the Modify panel. You can also use the AL shortcut. Now here I'm just going to choose this side first, and then the side of our cabinet to align it here. You can lock it in place if you want, you don't have to. And then just choose the face of the wall, and then the back edge of the cabinet to align it that ways. Now just hit the escape key a couple of times to exit out of that. And of course, let's go into 3D just to double check. At this point, it could be a good idea to add our sink. So for that, let's go back into level 1. Let's go to architecture, go to component, and then let's go into load family. Now for this, I'm going to have to step back a couple of folders in order to find plumbing folder. Go to plumbing, go to architecture, then go to fixtures, and then finally here we have sinks. Now for this, I'm just going to use the single kitchen sink and then hit open. And once it's loaded in, as you can see here, we have a couple of versions. I'm just going to go with the smaller one. Now, once you place it here, you may notice that it's a bit larger than the opening. Now, if I just hit the escape key a couple of times and then go into 3D, you will notice that here we see the opening is not large enough. Especially if we switch to the realistic view, you will see that problem. So what I tend to do in these cases is just go here into level 1. And when you select the countertop, you get these little drag points, which you can kind of extend and just open that opening up a little bit. You can use this one here on this side, like that, and this one here. Just make sure to stay within the boundary or the rectangular outside boundary of the sink. And now if we go into 3D, as you can see, it fits accordingly. Okay, with that in place, let's continue on adding elements. So the next element is going to be added again in level 1. Go to component and then go to load family. Now at this point, I'm going to step back a couple of folders again and then scroll all the way down to specialty equipment. Here under domestic, and then let's go with mid-range because we're going with kind of affordable kitchens. Here we have a cool dishwasher which I'm going to be using. So let's open that up and let's add it over here up against the wall. Now as you can see, this element, unlike other elements, isn't going to be placed in space correctly. So what you need to do is just use the align tool. So go to modify, go to the align tool, or use the AL shortcut and then align it here like that. And then here, as you can see, when you hover over it, it will get that little line. Oops. Okay, so it doesn't work like this. The next option would be to change the view mode to wireframe. Now you can see the backside. So now if we try again, there we go, looks great. The only downside is this DW, which stands for dishwasher, which is extremely annoying. Luckily, you can get rid of that just by selecting it, going here into edit type. And then here for the show label, you can just uncheck that, hit apply, click OK, and now it's gone. And then you can switch back to hidden line if that's what you want. Now, if I just go here to the default 3D view, this is what we currently have. Now, in some cases, this is going to kind of disappear on you, so don't worry about it. Just continue working, and it should kind of come back at some point. I guess it's a bug with the program. So after replacing this, so now it actually looks okay, we can continue working. So the next step will be to add the stove as well as the burners. So let's go back into level 1. And now what I'm going to do is go here to component, go to load family, and then let's go back a couple of folders and go back into our casework folder. Now here I'm going to go to base cabinets, and here we have this built-in base cabinet, which is really useful. And when I open that up, I'm just going to place it here. Now again, as I said, where the cursor is located on your family, that's the back side that should be up against the wall. So I should hit the space key just once in order to flip it around. So here I can place it up against this wall and then up against this corner unit. Okay, now we can go into 3D just to double check. Everything looks okay, and now let's add the stove as well as the burners on top. So for that, what I'm going to do is go here to component, go into load family, and then we have to go back a couple of folders again, straight into specialty equipment. Go to domestic, go to mid-range, and then here let's find the cooktop gas. Let's go with that one, and then I'm going to switch here in the properties panel from the 900 millimeter to the 750 millimeter. And here, as you can see, when you hover over the countertop, it will highlight in blue. That means that's selected. Now just hit the space key once to flip it around, and then once you click, it will be placed in position. Now you can hit the escape key a couple of times to exit out of that command, and then if you select it, you can use the arrow keys just to kind of more precisely position it exactly where you want to place it. This looks okay, so I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to go back into level 1, and then here we have this horrible cooktop label. So let's go here into edit type and then uncheck that label, hit apply, hit OK, and now it looks a lot better. Now it's time to add the actual oven. So for that, let's go to component, go to load family, and then here we have the oven single. Open that up. Here it is. I'm just going to use the space key to flip it around once, and now I want to place the kind of the inner part of the face at the face of our cabinet. So it should look like something like that. There we go. Okay, so now it's in correct position. Again, we have to select that oven, go into edit type, and then uncheck our show label. Hit apply, click OK, and there we go. Now let's go back into 3D just to see what that looks like. And as you can see, the offset from the floor is a bit off. So what I'm going to do is just go here to the properties panel, go to elevation from level, and just type in something like, let's try 15 centimeters, hit apply. That might be too high, let's try 10. Okay, that looks good enough. Maybe we can bring it up 1 centimeter, so let's try 11. Nah. Let's try 10.5. So it's a bit of trial and error, and also I'm just going to use the arrow keys to nudge it a little bit in the other direction so it fills the opening properly, and I think it looks okay now. So if I just click out of it, I think this looks great at this point. Okay, moving on, let's add a few more elements on this side. So I'm going to go back into level 1, go to component, and then go to load family. And actually, while we're still here in our specialty equipment, let's add the side-by-side with ice and water dispenser refrigerator, one of those fancy ones. Let's hit open, and then we can add the refrigerator somewhere over here. Now I'm just going to hit the escape key a couple of times, then select the refrigerator, go into edit type, and then check off the label, hit apply, OK, and now it looks a lot better. Now also I'm going to switch the visual style to wireframe so we can see. So here, as you can see, our dishwasher is aligning up properly with our countertop, which is what we want to have. So I think this looks okay. Let's go into 3D just to double check. Yeah, so it looks okay and everything's aligned on this side. So the next step will just be to go into level 1 and now align our refrigerator. Now, if at any point you have to change the position of your countertop, you can like this. So you can just make sure to align it to a correct position. Okay, now let's go to the Modify tab, go to the Align Tools, and then align the refrigerator here first. Then select the wall, then select the refrigerator, align it there, hit the Escape key, and there we go. Now, if we go back into 3D, it looks great. Okay, so one more step, let's add a few cabinets here, and then let's add the upper cabinets as well. So for that, let's go back into level 1. Let's go back to Architecture, go to Component, and then let's go into Load Family. Okay, let's go back a few folders, find the Casework folder, and then here we have the base cabinets. Let's just choose one of these, maybe the one with the drawers. I think this one's useful, so let's open that up. And here you will notice that you have the option to choose from the 300mm one and the 500mm one. I want the larger one. And then again, the place where the cursor is should be against the wall, so hit the space key once to flip it around. And then here I'm just going to align it in place. I think it looks correct. And just go to 3D to double check. Of course, at this point you can see that the countertop is not covering it, so we can go back into level 1 and then extend this, basically just using this slider to extend it over the end. Now, at this point it's not snapping into position, which is annoying, but don't worry, at any point you can go to Modify, go to the Align tool, and then just align it in place. Hit the Escape key a couple of times, and there we go. Okay, so this looks pretty good. We just need to add the upper cabinets just to complete the look of the kitchen. So for that, what I'm going to do is first, let's switch this back to hidden line just to make the appearance a bit better. And then let's go to Architecture, go to Component, go to Load Family. And then here, let's go back a couple of folders, or just one. And let's go to the wall cabinets. Here we have many options. I want to start off with the corner unit, of course. Open that up, and of course place it here in the corner. Now you will notice that if you hover around like this, it's going to give you this kind of X sign, so it's not going to be able to be placed. So what you need to do is hover close to a wall, and then it will be available. Now at this point you can see that it's kind of odd to place, and it should be placed on this wall. If we place it here, it looks wrong, but of course at any point you can use the space key to flip it around. Now once I place it here, I'm just going to hit the Escape key a couple of times, go to the Modify tab, and then go to the Align tool. Select the wall face, and then select this side and align it into position. Also, let's go back to Architecture, go back to Component, go back into Load Family, and let's see what other units we have. Let's see. So let's use the double door, maybe. Hit open. Here we have the 600mm as well as the 1000mm. So let's try the bigger one. Place it on this wall. Now you will notice it's kind of off and it's hard to align. So it's maybe best if you place it on the wall first, then go to Modify, and then go to the Align tool to try to align it here. Hit the Escape key a couple of times. Let's go back into Architecture to Component, and let's see, can we fit one here? I guess we cannot, so let's go with the 600mm option and place it here. Then we can maybe align this to the refrigerator, for example. So I'm just going to go with the Align tool and then align that to the refrigerator. Now for this gap, don't worry, we have a fix for that. Now let's go back here into Architecture, go to Cabinets, go to Load Family. Let's see, what else do we have here. So we have the glass cabinets, we have the single door ones. So let's see how large this is. So we have the 300mm unit and the 600mm unit. So let's go with the 300mm one. And it almost fits in here, but I guess it just won't work. It's a bit too small. So let's just try to fit it here on this side. Align it on this side, so let's go to Modify, go to the Align tool, and then align it here. Okay, moving on, let's add just a few more here. Maybe let's use this one. Now, if you want to reuse any of these elements, you just select it, and then you have the option to right-click, and here we have the Create Similar option. So once you click that, it's going to go back into that same element. So now I can place it here on this wall as well, and let's place it here near the edge. And let's align it to the edge. So just go to the Align tool, go to the edge, and then align it here. Okay, so this gap is really annoying because it's a bit too large for my taste. So let's select this one, try to make it smaller. Okay, now we can go to the align tool, align it here, and let's see, can we fit one more here? So select it, go to either copy or right click and then use the create similar option, and then we can place it here. And as you can see, it's a lot tighter fit. So I'm going to go with the align tool and align it perhaps here, just like that. And then we have this gap over here as well as a gap over here, and don't worry, we're going to be fixing that now. So what you need to do to fix these gaps is go to the architecture tab, go to component, go to load family, and then we have the filler unit. So if I just open that up, you will notice that the filler unit by default is set to 75 millimeters, and if I place it here, it's a bit too small. So if I hit the escape key a couple of times and go with the measure tool, if I measure from here to here, you will notice that the distance we need to fill is 9.52 centimeters. So if I select this, let's go into edit type, duplicate, let's call it 95.2 millimeters, and let's change it here to 9.52, just because the difference in units, so that's why the numbers are a bit different. Click OK, and now the unit has changed in size, so you just have to go to the modify tab, go to the align tool, and then align it here. There we go. Now if I go to the 3D view, you will notice that now we have that gap filled. Now we have to do the same thing on the other side. So for that, what you need to do is you need to go back into level 1, measure the distance here. So let's use the measure tool. Now here the distance is going to be a bit larger, so that's 15.92. So let's select that element, or let's maybe go here, edit type, duplicate, so that's 1592 millimeter. Click OK, and then here that will be 15.92. Click OK, and then let's place that here. Now I place it a bit off to the side, and then I will go to the modify tab and then use the align tool to align it in place. There we go, looks correct. Now if I just go to the 3D view, it looks like this, and we have a completed kitchen. I really like the look of this. Now if at any point you want to change some of the materials, what you can do is just select maybe the countertop, go into edit type, and then here we have the option for the countertop material. You can just click on this button, and now you can search for something. So I can search for wood, and then here we have all of the options. Now I really like this birch wood, so I like to use it everywhere. So let me load that in. Click apply, click OK, click apply, click OK, and there we go. So it looks a lot better. Also, you can change some of these. If you just select the element, go here into edit type. Here we have the cabinet material and the door or drawer material. So maybe let's change the drawers. So I'm just going to go here and use that same birch wood, hit apply. There we go, that's what we have. So I can select maybe more of these. Let's see if I go into edit type. Yeah, we still have the same option. Now to select multiple elements, you just select one, hold the control key, and then you can add to selection. So I'm just going to add all these up, and then go here and change the drawer material to birch, apply, OK, and then select this one. Can we select two different ones? No, we cannot. So you have to select either the same elements or just by one. So let's go into edit type, drawer material, let's change it to birch wood, hit apply, hit OK, and the same thing goes here. Edit type, drawer material, birch wood, apply, OK. There we go. So now we have a kitchen that's actually aesthetically pleasing. So that's how you can create kitchens. And of course, one more thing that you should never forget, and that's to add the floor. So let's go into level 1, let's go to architecture, let's go to floor, and then let's create a quick rectangle. Hit finish, and then let's go into 3D. So this is what we have. Okay, so that's going to conclude this quick tutorial on how to create a basic kitchen in Revit. Now, if you want to download this project file in order to analyze it, the link in the description, first one, takes you to my Patreon. There you can find the project file as well as the complete course on the custom kitchens in Revit that I have created, where I go more in depth into how can you create kitchens, how to adapt everything, how to adjust everything correctly. And basically I go in depth into not only this topic, but also I have many more advanced topics in Revit. I've got over 50 hours of content over there, so check it out if you're interested. That's the first link in the description for my Patreon. Okay, so that concludes this tutorial. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.